Hello, this is Don O'Malley with Don's Breakfast Cereal Show. Thanks for tuning back in. Today we have Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce again as Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson in The Secret Weapon. We're going to follow that by Ronald Howard as Holmes and Howard Marion Crawford as Watson for the 1954-55 Sherlock Holmes television show. So here we go. I hope you enjoy it. We'll be back.
Yes, here.
You gentlemen look like educated men of good taste. I have here some rare old first editions.
Si le vieux vous embête.
He's not bothering us. I'm interested in his books.
Light beer.
Oui, monsieur.
Now here are the complete works of Wilhelm Shakespeare, an old German writer. We move tonight. Orders from Berlin. Dr. Tobel is to be across the border before dawn.
But we have had orders not to break into his house, and he hides there. Hasn't been outside in weeks.
The Führer wants no trouble with Switzerland at the moment. We must be very careful.
If we can't break in, he won't come out?
When the Führer needs something as badly as he needs the Tobel bomb site, there is always a way. Dr. Tobel is interested in my scientific volumes. He's seen my forged Swiss papers, and he believes I come from Lucerne. No, gentlemen, the price is much too low. I could not possibly sell so rare a book for such a price. I will induce Dr. Tobel to come on a visit to my shop as we pass the alleyway. You are interested in this book? A rare old set of Bismarck papers. One last warning. I've just had word from Berlin. The English spine hunter will try to take Dr. Tobel from under our very eyes. They are sending a stupid, bungling amateur detective. His name is Holmes, or some such foolishness.
He will never escape from Switzerland alive.
Now, quick. Have me thrown out of here. And watch for my signal from Dr. Tobel's window. But, gentlemen, you promised to buy one of my books.
I told you no.
Stop bothering us.
They are not so great. The price
Allez,
is...
vieux, sors d'ici, c'est des plusieurs fois sans arrêter les clients. Prends tes livres. Prends ton chapeau.
Je crois pour mes livres.
Prends les autres parts, c'est ta carte.
Je ne peux pas aller à car.
Allez, sors d'ici. Regarde plus, hein. En fait, les clients, mais c'est le cochon.
French. English. How I hate those languages.
Calm yourself, my dear Braun. In a short time, there will be only one language.
Good evening, Dr. Tobel. I have here some very interesting scientific books. I thought you might like to see them.
Please come in. He's entering the house. Quickly, get the car and have the motor running. I will follow. Herr X will have the Tobel bomb site at the Fuhrer while this Holmes is still having his tea. Now,
what are you doing? I am sorry, but for months, every move I have made has been watched. I am not a coward, Mr. Holmes.
They won't watch you anymore. Tonight they intend to take you forcibly across the German border.
Then why do we wait here, doing nothing, like rats in a trap?
Calm yourself, my dear Dr. Tobel. We shall not only escape their trap, but we shall also take the cheese away with us.
But how?
The 4 sections of your bomb site fit inside these ponderous tomes. Although I must confess that I shied at the thought of disemboweling a complete set of Charles Dickens.
Oh, but you cannot hide me in a hollow book.
My dear fellow, I'm sorry that my good friend Dr. Watson isn't here to explain to you that my preparations are never slipshod.
Stefan, Eric, why do you call my servants?
Your servants, yes, but tonight they assume new roles. Let me present Dr. Tobel and our old friend, the bookseller.
Holmes, it is so simple.
Yes, the obvious always appears simple. Quick now, we must leave. Stefan, the knapsack. Stefan and Eric are proving excellent decoys.
Then the Gestapo has been fooled?
Completely. Their servants are leading them into the next street.
But what will happen to Stefan and Eric?
Nothing, don't worry. I've taken care of that. The way is clear. Come on, quick.
You would take the Nazis' own car?
One must adapt oneself to the tools at hand.
You think you made them believe you're a harmless old bookseller?
Yes, I've always felt that a thorough knowledge of the classics might come in handy.
But how can we get across the border and through France?
There's no need to get across. At this very moment, a Royal Air Force plane is waiting for us at a secret landing place.
How long before we arrive in London?
In a very few minutes. We're passing over Dover now.
Thank you.
You'll have to get used to our London blackouts, Dr. Tobel. Dr. Watson's. Very untidy fellow.
What are we going to do with these?
A problem of the most elementary nature, my dear Dr. Tobel.
You are going to keep them here?
I have always believed in the theory, originally projected by Edgar Allan Poe, the American writer, that the best place to hide anything is where everyone can see it.
Yes, but...
You will remember, no doubt, in Poe's story, The Purloined Letter. The missive in question was always in plain view.
Hands up, gentlemen. Scotland Yard, quick.
Oh, my goodness.
Good evening, Mrs. Hudson.
Oh, why, it's Mr. Holmes.
Holmes.
Hello, Watson, old fellow. It's good to see you again. Telephone.
Huh? Who do you want? Oh, yes, you're Scotland Yard. I'm afraid there's been a little mistake. Well, you needn't get angry. We all make mistakes at times. What? Well, if we didn't, you'd be out of a job.
Dr. Tobel, this is my friend and associate, and as you may have observed, my watchdog, Dr. Watson.
How do you do, sir?
How do you do? Dr. Tobel and I flew in from Zurich this evening. You can put that thing away now, Watson.
Dr. Tobel, awarded the Massingham Crest for physics in 1939.
My dear Watson, there is only one Dr. Tobel.
Without Mr. Holmes, there would have been no Dr. Tobel, I am afraid.
But I thought you were living in America, sir.
I have been working in Switzerland for the past 2 years.
And Holmes got you out?
In the nick of time. There was not a point he overlooked. Every contingency was foreseen and provided for. It was magnificent.
Thank you, Doctor. The problem was not without its interesting points.
Is there anything you would like, Mr. Holmes?
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Hudson. You can go to bed now.
You gave me an awful fright dressed up like that. Well, good night, sir.
He's quite right. You can't blame me for jumping to the conclusion that I did. He looked like a broken-down musician. Holmes, why didn't you take your fiddle with you? I never did think much of this dressing-up business.
It was necessary, I assure you. The Gestapo was close on our heels.
Oh, really?
This is Sherlock Holmes. I want to speak to Sir Reginald Bailey, please.
Reginald Bailey? Is that the fellow who played Rugger for Blackheath?
Yes, Watson.
Oh.
Hello, Sir Reginald. Holmes speaking. Yes, from Baker Street. I have Dr. Tobel with me. Oh, thank you. Very well, then. I'll meet you in half an hour. There must be no delay. I'll arrange with Sir Reginald to have the test tomorrow morning.
I suggest that only cabinet ministers and your best aviation experts be present.
Naturally. Watson, I leave Dr. Tobel in your care. Give him a sedative. This has been a strenuous business, and he has a long day ahead of him again tomorrow.
Certainly, Holmes, of course. He shall sleep in my bedroom. I'll keep watch till you return.
Thank you.
It is not necessary to guard me. I am quite safe now.
Safe, Dr. Tobel? I shouldn't count on it for a second.
But, Mr.
A
Holmes...
great deal may depend on your safety. And the enemy understands that just as well as we do. Good night. Keep alert, Watson.
Yes, of course. A couple of these and you'll sleep peacefully through a blitz.
Thank you.
You'd better start undressing at once, or you'll find yourself fast asleep in the middle of taking off your trousers. Well, I'll sit over here and keep an eye on things. Oh, by the way, if you're nervous, call out.
Good night, Doctor.
Good night, Doctor. Both saying the same thing at the same time. Good night, Doctor.
Good night, Doctor.
That's it. Untidy fellow, Holmes.
most important that I see you at once. No, I cannot explain. It is now 5 minutes past midnight. I leave at once. Goodbye.
Holmes, I don't have to tell you how much this means to us.
We shall know a great deal more about the bomb site after the demonstration, Sir Reginald.
The War Office have a pretty good idea of the value of the Tobel bomb site, just as the Nazis have. However, if you'd care to place Dr. Tobel under the protection of Scotland Yard until tomorrow...
No, that won't be necessary. I shall personally deliver Dr. Tobel to your representatives on Salisbury Plain in plenty of time for the demonstration.
Thank you.
Good night, Sir Reginald.
Good night, Mr. Holmes.
Charlotte Averley, flat B.
Right. Get the car ready. I'll wait here until he comes out.
Is that what the Americans call doodling?
It is more serious than you could possibly realize, Charlotte. Good.
More coffee?
No, thank you, darling. I must get back before they miss me.
We've been separated for so long. I couldn't bear it if anything should part us again. I want to work with you, and I want to know every minute where you are.
Even for you to know the details of my mission in London is to sign your death warrant.
If you're in real danger, I want to share it.
There is one thing you can do. Guard this envelope. If anything happens to me, see that it reaches the hands of Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Yes.
I pray I never have to deliver it.
No.
He got away. Are you all right, sir?
I think so. It must have been a robber.
Since the blackout, those blighters have become quite a nuisance, sir. I say, you better come with me and have that fixed up.
Thank you.
Just lean on my arm, that's it. Watson! Watson, wake up!
Huh?
Where's Tobel?
He's in there.
No, he isn't. He's gone.
That's impossible. He's asleep in my bed. I've been here the whole time.
If anything's happened to him... Tobel!
All right? Ah, it is nothing.
Yeah, sit down here.
Let's have a look. Oh, it doesn't look too bad. Who patched you up? The police doctor?
Yes.
You look as if you'd been attacked.
Obviously, my dear Watson. Dr. Tobel, do you suspect the woman of arranging the trap?
Woman? What woman?
She's blonde, 5'6", full-lipped, and very affectionate.
Oh, really?
You've known her for a long time. You were attacked after leaving her apartment.
Holmes, how do you know this?
The face powder on your coat tells me of her height and her affection for you. You held her close before departing.
Steady, Holmes.
It's all there for the trained eye to read, Watson.
But look here, why couldn't he have been attacked on his way to the woman's apartment?
The mark of a blow has erased some of the powder. Obviously, if the attack came first, the powder would have remained undisturbed.
And the full lips? That was a guess.
I never guess, Watson. You have rubbed the lipstick from your face with the handkerchief you now hold in your hand. And that amount of lipstick never came from a pair of thin lips.
And the blonde hair? Good gracious me.
Mr. Holmes, I am glad you are on my side.
Well, in that case, you will desist from disobeying my orders and slipping out while your bodyguard sleeps his watch away.
It won't happen again, Holmes. I was sitting in front of the fire.
All right, Watson, all right.
I'm sorry.
Now, can you describe your assailant?
I never saw him. A great figure came at me in the dark. I felt a stunning blow on my head, and instantly fingers were at my throat.
But you must have noticed something about him. Think, man. A thing of little consequence to you may mean a great deal to me.
Wait a moment. There was one thing. Long fingers at my throat like steel. And then an odor, a heavy, drug-like odor.
A drug? Opium?
That is it. I am sure of it now.
Well, I suggest we get the remains of a good night's sleep. Remember, the test takes place tomorrow morning on Salisbury Plain.
The principle of Dr. Tobel's device involves the use of 3 sonic beams. Is that right, sir?
That appears to be it.
There he is.
We're on the course now, sir.
Gentlemen,
that load would sink any ship in the world. We must consider the possibility of good piloting and a lucky hit. I'd like to see another try of it.
So would I. They want you to try again, sir.
He is coming into position now, sir.
We're on the course now, sir.
Well, gentlemen, how do you like the bomb site now?
Marvelous. We'll revolutionize aerial bombardment.
Inspector Lestrade. Yes, Sir Reginald? I hope Scotland Yard is taking every precaution to guard Dr. Tobel and his equipment.
2 plainclothesmen ride with him in his car, sir, and 4 others follow in another one, sir.
Good. He's coming to my office in Whitehall as soon as he lands. Shall we start, gentlemen?
Gentlemen.
Congratulations, sir. It was excellent.
Amazing performance.
How happy with us.
It was magnificent, Dr. Tobel. Magnificent.
I am glad we had such ideal conditions for the test.
I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it myself.
We've been through a lot, Holmes. But thank goodness he's safe now.
You brought your apparatus with you?
No, Sir Reginald. I did not.
But why not? It must be lodged in the most impregnable vault in this building until we're ready to start manufacture.
I have arranged for a little office of my own.
I intend to supervise the manufacture myself.
But you offered it to our government for our use. Everything Mr. Holmes has done has been with that idea in view.
I still offer it to your government, but no one else will know the secrets involved. I have devised a plan to guard my invention. A plan as intricate as the bombsite itself.
If you imagine for one moment...
Please. I will not change my mind, Sir Reginald. I am taking the matter into my own hands.
Just what do you propose to do, Dr. Tobel?
I am sorry. I cannot reveal the details of my plan for the present.
Do you think that's wise?
I regret, gentlemen, I cannot change my decision. I shall work independently.
Can't you persuade him, Holmes?
But supposing something should happen to you, Dr. Tobel. You know, there's already been one attempt on your life.
And if Holmes's suspicions are right...
What, Watson? There is no use discussing it, gentlemen. My mind is made up.
Scotland Yard will redouble the guard about you, Doctor. In fact, we'll quadruple it.
That is just what I do not wish done, Inspector.
Huh?
That would only draw attention to my activities. Good day, gentlemen.
Just the same, I'll have my men watching him every moment from now on.
No, wait, Lestrade. We must not offend Dr. Tobel. We must remember that he, as a citizen of Switzerland, is under no obligation to give us his invention. We must do as he asks. Don't you agree, Holmes?
To be sure, Sir Reginald. I'm not officially connected with the government, and I intend to remain on the case.
Good.
That is, if Inspector Lestrade doesn't mind.
Not at all, Mr. Holmes. We're always glad to have you hanging around.
Thank you.
You can put those away now, Lestrade.
I am entrusting this to you because, first of all, you are a Swiss. And second, there is no doubt in my mind of your ability.
I'm honored, Dr. Tobel.
I have divided the mechanism of my invention into 4 units. Each is meaningless without the others.
You have delivered the other 3?
Yes. No one but myself knows the identity of the 4 scientists working on the 4 units. Their names are not even known to each other.
I think I understand. From what you tell me, it will be easy to reproduce the unit assigned to me in any quantity you wish.
I knew I could rely on you. I will get in touch with you as soon as I have made the rest of my arrangements. No. The back door, if you please, Professor Hoffner.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Hello? Yes, Lestrade? Oh. Very well.
What is it, Holmes?
Just as I feared. Lestrade's men report that Tobel is missing.
Missing? Gone.
Yes, I was afraid of this.
How long has he been missing?
Practically since he walked out of your office yesterday. If you'd only given me the address of this place, I shouldn't have had to waste so much time finding it.
Empty. The bomb site's gone.
I didn't expect to find it here, Sir Reginald.
This is a pretty mess. If you knew this was going to happen, why the devil didn't you do something about it?
You can rely on Holmes implicitly, Sir Reginald.
Tobel's gone, and heaven alone knows where. Well, it serves me right for listening to that crack-brained idea of his. He dismissed Lestrade's men, and they went, leaving him here alone and unguarded. Holmes, if anything has happened to Tobel, if his invention falls into the hands of Germany, it will be a major disaster for England.
Christmas wrapping. He did his Christmas shopping in plenty of time.
Yes, curious.
Do you notice anything, Holmes? Scent. Perfume.
Yes, I noticed it the moment we entered the room. Clair de Lune. One of the rarer essences, and very expensive.
That woman again.
Undoubtedly. Give me Inspector Lestrade. Sherlock Holmes calling.
So Holmes is finally stumped. First time I've heard him call for help.
Call for help, indeed. He's only just beginning his investigation.
Lestrade, this is Holmes. Check the records and trace a call made on my private telephone at Baker Street at approximately 12 o'clock on the night of Dr. Tobel's arrival in London.
Finally stumped, eh, Sir Reginald?
Yes, Lestrade? Wait a minute.
Charlotte, Haberley, 34 St. George's Street, flat B. Excellent, Lestrade. Thank you. Where is Dr. Tobel?
I can't tell you.
You mean you won't tell me?
I don't know.
How many Christmas packages did you take to him, Miss Haberley?
5.
He dismantled his bomb site and packed the units in 4 other boxes. Is that correct?
Pardon me. Hello? Yes? This is Miss Aberley. Why, someone must have stolen it. On Richmond Bypass. Yes. Yes, I'll arrange to have it removed. Yes, at once. Now I can be frank with you, Mr. Holmes. Dr. Tobel has disappeared. They found my car on Richmond Bypass, wrecked. I loaned it to him last night.
For what purpose, Miss Aberley?
He wouldn't tell me. But he said that if anything should happen to him, I was to give you this.
Holmes? Then he must have expected something.
Yes. This envelope has been opened and resealed.
Oh, but that isn't possible. It hasn't been out of my hands.
We meet again, Mr. Holmes.
What?
Why, that's not the message. It isn't even the same paper. I saw Dr. Tobel draw little sets of figures.
What kind of figures?
Well, they looked like little dancing men.
Dancing men? That's curious.
Who's been in this apartment since Dr. Tobel entrusted that envelope to your care?
Why, no one. I've had no visitors.
Think. Possibly a tradesman.
No. Only the one for a few minutes.
And that one?
A workman. He came to fix my light switch. He couldn't have possibly...
Did you send for him?
Why, no. My lights went out, and soon afterwards he knocked at my door and told me the porter had sent him up. That's where he worked. But he wasn't alone in this room more than 5 minutes. And he did fix the lights. They went on again.
The switch hasn't been touched. The paint still covers the screw heads. He simply threw the main switch in the basement, pretended to work on this one, and after a few moments, an accomplice threw the main switch back on.
But in those few minutes...
Did you get a look at his face?
No, only a glance. Now I realize he kept his face averted.
But he was a large man.
Yes, he was large.
His eyes heavy-lidded, a thin film over the pupils.
Then Holmes, you
Yes,
really
I
think...
remember now. His eyes, they were like a snake's.
Miss Aberley, Dr. Tobel is being held by one of the most brilliant men in the history of crime. Come along, Watson. There isn't a moment to lose. Goodbye, Miss Aberley.
Oh, goodbye, Miss Aberley. I don't see why I'm not allowed to go with you.
You have your own mission, Watson.
Yes, to take a sealed note to Inspector Lestrade while you search Soho.
I shall not be searching for him. I shall permit him to find me in the character of a murderous Lascar once in his employ, and whom I may add is still in jail.
Yes, but after all these years...
Make no mistake, Watson. This is not a duel of intellects with a cruel but single-minded Gestapo killer. This is our greatest problem, with England as the stake, and our antagonist, Professor Moriarty.
You've got to beat him. Once he's behind bars, I think I shall entitle my memoirs of these adventures, The End of Moriarty.
An excellent title, Watson. But, we must arrange that it isn't Moriarty who's left to write the memoirs.
Huh?
Up she rises, up she rises early in the morning. Up she rises, up she rises, up she rises early in the morning. Up she rises, up she rises, up she rises early in the morning. Up she rises,
Ram Singh. Ram Singh.
Uno Ram Singh.
I do. You blooming war threat. Been in jail, ain't you?
How you know?
I heard from the blighter what left you to swing instead of him. You know what I mean, matey.
I know. I'll have to kill him.
Would it be worth £10 to you?
You know where he lives?
For £10, I know.
Only got 2.
Goodbye, matey.
5.
£10 on nothing, you lying heathen.
You dirty thief.
Well, that ain't so much to ask for what you want to know.
You make good bargain.
That does it.
Well?
You remember Angel's Court?
Huh?
Then follow your nose through the alley till you come to Jack Brady's carpenter shop. He can tell you where the blighter is at this very moment.
You come too.
Me?
If you lie.
All right, mister, I'll come along with you. Easy, matey, easy. Follow me.
Please, Governor, I ain't had nothing to eat for 2 days.
Ah,
Please.
go away.
Pegleg.
Who's this bloke?
He's a bloodthirsty heathen, but there's good money to spend for information.
What's he want to know?
He give me £5 to bring him to someone who could tell him the whereabouts of you know who.
You not tell me I cut 2 throat.
Cost you another £5.
£5 more, eh? You pay him.
Me?
Come on, you. Come on, pay him.
I'll tell you all right, I will. The truth, and that's a fact. The blighters in Davy Jones's locker are feeding the fishes, he is. Deader than a blinking mackerel. Now, ain't that worth a £5?
I tell you he's alive.
And I say he's been dead these many years.
You lie!
Easy there, Jack Brady. I would say you were wrong and Mr. Sherlock Holmes was correct.
Good evening, Professor Moriarty.
Welcome, Holmes. My men have instructions to bring anybody here who inquires for me. They haggle while I watch. An admirable disguise, by the way. It fooled them completely. Of course, it didn't fool me.
I never intended that it should. I meant only that it should bring us face to face.
Just like old times, eh? A battle of wits, of superior intellects. I may say I've been expecting you since I made off with your precious Dr. Tobel.
And his code.
Ah, yes, and his code. But valuable as your doctor and his code are to my business, I think my main interest in this affair is the chance it gives me to battle with you again.
Moriarty, this is no simple crime that you contemplate. It's a staggering blow against your own country.
That doesn't concern me overly. I shall make greater profit from this affair than all my other adventures put together.
Then you refuse?
Oh, most assuredly. In fact, I intend to ensure the success of this venture tonight by liquidating you, Mr. Holmes. I think that is the American phrase.
Quite.
You, the one man intelligent enough to stand in my way.
A gun? Oh, come now. This is not the Professor Moriarty, the master criminal I once knew. A dock rat could do as much.
Did you think I was going to shoot you, Mr. Holmes? Oh, dear me, no. This is simply to prevent a troublesome scene. I expected you and made full arrangements. You see, my good Mr. Holmes, these shelves lift out. And you will rest somewhat uncomfortably in the false bottom of his sea chest. My sailor friend, Jack Brady, goes to sea immediately. Once out of sight of land, he pushes the chest overboard. Time up. Perhaps your good friend, Dr. Watson, can entitle this adventure The End of Sherlock Holmes.
He will be disappointed. He intended to call it The End of Professor Moriarty.
Hurry.
Yes.
Brilliant man, Sherlock Holmes. Too bad he was honest.
The one-legged man. He takes Mr. Holmes right to that carpenter shop. He knocks on the door. A man comes out, and in they go.
Thank you, George. We'll take over the watch.
Good night, Dr. Holmes.
Good night.
What does Mr. Holmes hope to accomplish by this masquerade?
He hopes to frighten Moriarty into rushing Tobel into another hiding place.
Moriarty's dead, I tell you. Look out. Over here, quick. Hey, just a minute.
Who's that?
What do you got there?
Who's asking?
Scotland Yard?
Scotland. Half a mo, Governor. I'll show you me papers. That's it. There you are, Governor. I'm Jack Brady, ship's carpenter. Shipping out tonight in a convoy. Destination unknown. Me pal here's helping me get me chest aboard.
Make them open it, Lestrade.
Yes, go on.
All right, Governor. See for yourself.
There's nothing here, Doctor. Just a couple of simple seafaring men. All right, get on with it.
Thank you, Governor. Come on now. Easy does it. Right. Good night, Your Lordships.
Told you it was a lot of nonsense.
I don't understand. That thing was weigh a ton. Look at those men staggering.
You've hit on something, Doctor. A few tools wouldn't take that much energy.
We've just looked inside.
On the top only, there might be a false bottom. Hey, you! You stop there! Stop or I'll shoot!
Great Scott, Holmes!
Well, I'll be blowed.
You're not hurt?
No. Well, you needn't have yelled at them so abruptly.
Huh?
They dropped me on my head.
Oh.
Moriarty would have been delighted.
So Professor Moriarty is alive?
Alive and in possession of Dr. Tobel's code. No good going back. They've all gone.
And what are you going to do?
Well, first I'm going to wash this filthy stuff off my face. Then I'm going to see Miss Eberly again. I've got to find some clue to the content of Dr. Tobel's message. Come along, quick.
I only got one glimpse of the note while he was preparing it.
He was seated at this desk.
No, he was sitting on the couch when he wrote the message, but he sealed the envelope here.
The message was written in ink with this pen.
No, he used a pencil. This one.
Thank you. Used this writing pad?
Yes.
Has it been used since?
No.
They should be here. They must be here.
What, Mr. Holmes?
The lead in this pencil is hard. Hard enough to make an impression on the coarse fibers of which this paper is made. The impressions at the moment are invisible. If we immerse this sheet in a solution of fluorescent salts, dry it, and then photograph it by ultraviolet light, fibers broken by the writing will absorb less of the solution than other parts of the paper.
Switch off the lights, Watson.
We place the slide in the projector and turn on the light. The broken fibers appear darker than the rest of the paper and are therefore visible.
Splendid, Holmes. Now I recognize that code. Do you remember a case we had some years ago? It's probably the same alphabet substitution code.
Yes, Watson. I believe Dr. Tobel meant to communicate with us by that means.
Substitution of the alphabet? I don't understand.
My dear, one of the oldest codes in use is based on the repetition of figures. E is the letter most used in the British language. Therefore, the figure most used, probably in this message, is E. T, A, O, I, and N follow in that order of frequency.
You mean you can read these figures as if they were letters of the alphabet?
Elementary, my dear Miss Abley. Give me 1 minute, and you shall have the message.
And what is the message, Watson?
This fellow Tobel must have been pulling our legs. It's a lot of gibberish. I-Y-Z-L-M-T-H-K. Reads like an eye doctor's chart.
Dr. Tobel is a brilliant scientist. I saw immediately that he wouldn't send us a message so simple to decipher. Neither would he affix these top figures without a meaning.
Then it isn't the alphabet substitution code.
Yes, it is, Watson, but with a very clever variation. You see, the 1, 2, 3 figures means that we skip letters in that order. In other words, observe, Watson. The first letter, which is I, skips 1 and becomes J. The second letter, Y, skips 2 and becomes A. And the third skips 3 and becomes C.
J-A-C.
J-A-C-O-B-D-U-R-R-E-R.
Jacob Dürer, a Swiss scientist and friend of Dr. Tobel's.
P-A-L-A-C-E-C-R-E-S.
Paris Crescent.
Right.
I say, Holmes, this man Dürer must be important.
Obviously, Watson. He must have some connection with the bomb site, or Tobel wouldn't have taken so much trouble to see that I got his name. Take down the rest of the message. J-O-S-E-P-H, Joseph.
E-M-D-D-I-A-C. Number 4 doesn't make any sense. He must have used some other variations.
4 names and addresses. Jacob Dürer, Professor Farrell, Dr. Kern, and this 4th infernal cipher, which doesn't fit the code. Christmas boxes. Watson, I'm beginning to see the plan. Dr. Tobel divided his bomb site into 4 parts, just as we brought it back from Switzerland. He's given 1 section of the mechanism to each of these famous scientists. What a fascinating plan. You see, each part is useless without the other 3, and undoubtedly, none of these scientists is known to each other. Professor Moriarty also has the code, and we must allow for his ability to decipher it. We haven't time to break the 4th code now. We must get to the first 3 men before Moriarty does.
Paris Crescent first?
Right.
I'll go and get a taxi.
Miss Everly, will you please wait here till we return? Thank you.
Here, where are you going, sir?
Jacob Dürer live here?
Yes, but there's been a bit of trouble, sir. You can't go in. Inspector Lestrade's orders.
Oh.
Here, just a minute, sir.
That's Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, very sorry, sir.
Dead?
Dead as a doornail. Mr. Holmes, how did you know about this? The yard only heard 15 minutes ago.
We better hurry, Holmes. There's still time to save Farrell and Kern.
Too late, Watson. By this time, Farrell and Kern are dead, too.
What? Deductions again, Mr. Holmes?
Facts, Inspector.
Oh, facts.
But how do you know about them?
Elementary, my dear Watson. This man has been dead for at least 2 hours. Moriarty isn't wasting any time.
Hello? This is Lestrade. Put me on to McAtee. Oh, McAtee? Oh, this is Lestrade. Do you know anything about 2 men named...
Farrell and Kern.
Farrell and Kern? What, both of them? Oh. Thank you. Report only came in 2 seconds before I telephoned.
What on earth are we going to do, Holmes? Moriarty's got a big start and he's got the code.
Note this, Watson. Scotland Yard reports 2 murders. That makes 3 in all. But there were 4 boxes and 4 codes. Obviously, Moriarty hasn't broken the 4th code either.
What is the name of the 4th man?
I can't remember.
What is the name of the 4th man?
I have forgotten.
What is the name of the 4th man?
I don't know. I don't know.
What is the name of the 4th man?
I can't remember.
Fourth man. What is the name of the 4th man?
What is the name of the 4th man?
Holmes, don't you realize what this means to England? We not only lose the Tobel bomb site ourselves, but Germany gets it. Coventry, Bath, Plymouth, London.
Not to mention Norwich and Hull.
All over again, but with 10 times the effect.
Don't you suppose I realize that's Reginald? Don't you suppose I'd give my life to decode the last name of that message?
There must be some solution.
Naturally, Watson.
I needn't be rude. I need a drink. I'm all in. I can't think anymore. All these letters and figures whirling through my brain. It's all twisted round.
Twisted round.
Huh?
That's it. That's what? Twisted around, you said. So simple, I never thought of it. Reverse the slide. You see, gentlemen? These figures are now identical with the first 3 names. In other words, all the figures of name number 4 are written backwards and read from right to left until we reverse the slide when they read correctly from left to right. Now, let's work on it. Pencil, Watson.
But, why would Dr. Tobel want to reverse the figures of number 4?
An added precaution, Lestrade, in case the cipher should fall into the wrong hands.
Quite a compliment to you, Mr. Holmes. I mean, Tobel taking for granted that you would recognize the difference.
Thank you. F-R-E-D-E-R-I-C-K-H-O-F-F-N-E-R. Frederick Hoffner. S-L-O-A-N-E-S-Q-U. Sloane Square. We must leave at once. Wait a minute. Information? Will you please give me the address of a Frederick Hoffner in Sloane Square?
I'll break this code. I'll find the name of that 4th man before Holmes does.
There is not much more time. The submarine is to pick us up off Sheerness in 6 hours.
I've beaten Holmes so far. We'll meet your confounded submarine with the bombsite intact.
But Tobel is unconscious again. As last resort, we could abandon the code and take Tobel to Germany.
You try Tobel again in here. Wait. Spilling that glass of water was a very fortunate accident, my dear street brawler. Dr. Tobel's perversion of the cipher was so simple that it fooled us. I was looking for something ingenious. This is ingenious. He simply reversed the cipher. F-R-E-D-E-R-I-C-K-H-O-F-F-N-E-R-S-L-O-A-N-E. Frederick Hoffner, Sloane Square. Of course. Hoffner would be the perfect selection.
Then you want us to attend to Hoffner?
No, we can use Hoffner. He's a brilliant scientist. If Dr. Tobel doesn't recover from your persuasion, Hoffner will be able to put the 4 parts together. You and Godfrey will call on Hoffner, and you will bring him here with the 4th section of the bomb site. Hurry.
Put up your hands, Professor Hoffner.
I'll take the box. We meet again, Professor. Sherlock Holmes.
An improvement on the other makeup. Don't you think so, Professor?
So you think you've beaten me, Holmes?
I have. The real Hoffner is safely in the hands of Scotland Yard.
But I still have Tobel. Now I shall sell Germany the inventor instead of the invention.
You've learned nothing from him in spite of all your torture. Otherwise, you wouldn't be trying so desperately to collect the 4 sections of the bomb site.
A keen observation, my dear Holmes. But observe further that you are now in my hands, and I have profited by my last mistake of allowing underlings to attend to you.
Holmes took my place, and while the Nazis were inside with him, he instructed me to attach a small apparatus underneath their car.
He's a brilliant fellow, Holmes. I helped him prepare the apparatus.
Did you really, Doctor?
That is, I poured in the luminous paint when you told me to.
Very clever, Dr. Watson.
The apparatus drips at regular intervals, leaving a trail of luminous paint.
I see, leading us to Moriarty and Mr. Holmes.
Why are you so confident, Professor? Only a suggestion. But how do you know that Scotland Yard isn't waiting to break in at this very moment?
I selected this address with special care. No one can find it, not even Scotland Yard. Relax, Mr. Holmes. There's no escape.
I might suddenly dash to the window, break it open, and shout to a passerby.
There are no passers-by. The glass in the window is unbreakable, and the room is soundproof. This is my stronghold, Holmes, equipped with all the modern conveniences of a successful man in my profession. Sit down.
They faded out again, sir.
I don't understand, Lestrade. It stopped, and then it started, and now it stopped again.
Maybe the apparatus broke down.
Oh, a suggestion, gentlemen. At a crossroad back there, a car might have gone over the spots of paint, picked some up on the tires, and left this false trail.
That's just what I was about
to suggest myself.
Very well, we'll try it.
Now, Holmes, what should it be? The gas chamber, the cup of hemlock, or just a simple bullet through your brain?
You disappoint me, Professor.
Indeed?
Yes. Somehow I always thought that in the end, you'd prove to be just an ordinary cutthroat.
You know me better, Holmes.
Gas, poison, bullets. I assure you, Professor, were our positions reversed, I should have something more colorful, more imaginative to offer.
I'm satisfied to be the winner. I shall be alive.
Alive, yes. The winner, no. For in the last analysis, I shall have proved the more resourceful man. You didn't trap me here. I came here because I wanted to prevent your getting Hoffner. And all you can do in return is to commit ordinary murder, to relieve your sense of frustration.
And what, my good Mr. Holmes, could you have conceived that would have been so much more colorful?
Well, even offhand, I can improve upon your suggestions considerably, but that's only natural, of course.
And what is this brilliant idea of yours?
You know that a man dies if he loses 5 pints of blood? Yes, of course you do. I should have you placed on an operating table. Inject a needle into your veins and slowly draw off your life's blood.
The needle to the last. Eh, Holmes?
Slowly, drop by drop, the blood would be drawn from your body. You would be aware of every exquisite second to the very end. You would be watching yourself die scientifically, noting every reaction, and in full possession of your faculties.
Interesting.
Yes, isn't it? I humbly submit, Professor, that to the very end, I've been more resourceful than yourself.
You've played into my hands, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Time and again I've used this place as a haven for friends of mine, injured in altercations with Scotland Yard. I have a fully equipped hospital here.
The trail goes this way, Inspector.
Drop by drop, Holmes. Drop by drop. In a way, I'm almost sorry. You were a stimulating influence to me. But it was obvious that I should win in the end. Only a matter of moments now. Take Tobel down to the boat. Stop the engine. Closer to the end, Holmes. Closer and closer. Each second, a few more drops leave your desiccated body. And you can feel them, can't you? You're perfectly conscious, aren't you, Holmes?
I shall be conscious long after you're dead, Moriarty.
Ha! Still the same old swaggering, conceited Sherlock Holmes. Wait.
If Moriarty hears a shot, he'll kill Holmes. You keep an eye on the boat. Don't make a move till Dr. Watson and I get inside. Understand? You wait here, Professor Hoffner. Come on, Doctor.
The water's this way. Moriarty's rooms must be up here.
I can't wait any longer, Holmes. You'll have to forgive the crudity, my friend. This is only the coup de grace.
Stand still, Moriarty, you're done for.
Holmes! On the contrary, Inspector, my men are outside. It's you who are done for.
Really? Just take a look out the window and see for yourself.
He'll try to get to the speedboat.
Yes, he won't go without Tobel.
Come on.
Race!
Dr. Tobel, Inspector. He ain't too badly hurt.
Thank heavens for that. Look after him, will you, Hoffner?
I'll take him to the car.
I expected you, but not with my revolver.
You realize, of course, when I was brought into the room blindfolded, that I heard the mechanism of this door?
Of course.
And yet, knowing that I'd heard it, you planned this way of escape. Not very flattering to me. Suicide, my dear Professor.
Not at all, my dear Holmes. You see, this is not an ordinary passageway. Oh, my mistake. It has been as equally well prepared as the rest of my humble quarters. I have a trap set, electric eye principle. My passing through will break the beam and automatically open a highly deceptive trap door. Behind me, of course, my pursuer, meaning you, my dear Holmes, will then be plunged 60 feet into the sewers below. Holmes!
Holmes! Poor Moriarty. I neglected to warn him. It seems some careless person came across his trap door and left it open. Come along, Watson.
Germany wanted the Tobel bomb site. We'll send her thousands of them in RAF planes.
Yes. Thanks to Mr. Sherlock Holmes and to Mrs. Tobel.
And of course, Inspector Lestrade.
Oh, that's all right, miss.
Things are looking up, Holmes. This little island's still on the map.
Yes. This fortress, built by nature for herself. This blessed plot. This earth, this realm. This England.
The city you consider as home is never so attractive as when you return to it after long and difficult times in other parts of the world. My name is Dr. John Watson. I had served and been wounded in the more remote regions of Afghanistan and had been discharged from the army with specific instructions to rest. The sight of London again was already working its soothing tonic. As I rode through the familiar streets, I never suspected that a chance introduction would lead me into the most amazing adventure of my entire life.
Watson, old man.
Hello, how have you been? It's good to see you.
Not as well as you, obviously. You look great, old man. Heard you were wounded.
Well, it could have been much worse.
Sit down. Care for a drink?
Have one.
Good. Well, what are your plans now?
Got nothing really at the moment. I'm looking for lodgings. Trying to solve the old problem of comfortable quarters at a reasonable price.
That's odd. There's the second man today that's used that expression.
Who's the other?
Well, you wouldn't know him. He's doing some work in the chemical laboratory at the hospital. Might be interesting.
Yes, well, I wouldn't mind sharing a flat with somebody if he was all right.
Well,
Anything wrong?
Oh, no. He's rather strange.
Well, what's wrong with him?
Oh, nothing wrong with Holmes. That's his name, Sherlock Holmes. Well, when I saw him this morning, he was doing some research with a corpse.
Oh, what was he doing?
He was beating it with a stick.
I beg your pardon?
Did you ring, sir? 2 shillings, please. Very good, sir.
What did you say this Sherlock Holmes fellow was doing?
He was beating a corpse with a stick.
Oh? What in heaven's name do you want to do that for?
He wanted to find out if it was possible to inflict a bruise on a body after death.
Why?
You know?
Did you ask him?
That's another strange thing about this Holmes. Somehow, one never thinks to question him.
It really works. You realize you've just entered the greatest chapter in the history of forensic medicine. You're Dr. Watson.
Yes, I am. What works?
Foolproof test for hemoglobin. You realize what this means, of course.
No, I don't. You must be Sherlock Holmes.
It will create a revolution in criminal investigation. Yes, I'm Holmes.
How did you know I was Watson?
Because you've just come back from Afghanistan. How do you do?
How you do? How did you know I'd just come back from Afghanistan?
Well, it's written all over you. The problem has generally been that a man is suspected of a crime months after the crime is committed. Then when they find bloodstains on objects of clothing, they can't be sure if it's blood, mud, or rust stains. But this solves the whole thing, of course.
Oh, of course. Of course. Stanford told me you're looking for someone to share a flat you'd found.
You know, if this test had been in existence a year ago, it would have meant that von Bishop of Frankfurt would most certainly have been hung. And that goes for Mason of Bradford, Muller, and O'Fay, naturally.
Naturally. Who are these people?
Did you know, I'm delighted to meet you, Watson. I think you'll like the flat. It's in Baker Street, by the way. Oh, we could pop round this afternoon and have a look at it if you care.
Yes. Oh, yes, rather. I'd like that.
Good. Did you mind if I play the violin?
No, go right ahead.
No, I don't mean now. I mean when we're sharing the flat.
Oh, no, of course not. I like a bit of good music.
Oh, good. I'm not very good.
Oh. Tell me, Holmes.
Yes.
How did you know I just got back from Afghanistan?
Well, it's obvious.
Now, that's what you said before. It isn't a bit obvious.
You're a doctor, that much we know. But with the air of a military man, therefore an army doctor. You've acquired a sunburn. I know it's not your natural color because your wrists are white. Your eyes tell me that you've recently been ill. I'd say some sort of tropical fever. You use your left arm stiffly as though you'd sustained a wound. Now the problem becomes, where would an army doctor have contracted a fever, sustained a wound? The answer, my dear Watson, is in the present campaign in Afghanistan, naturally.
Naturally. Of course, it's obvious. Naturally.
We examined the rooms at 221B Baker Street that afternoon and promptly moved in on the following day. I had, at this point, known Sherlock Holmes for only 24 hours. But the man's fantastic powers of perception, coupled with the almost unpredictable personality I'd ever encountered, kept me in a state of constant surprise when I wasn't being shocked. It was unbelievable, the things he knew and the things he didn't know.
Now, really, my dear Holmes, you mean to tell me you didn't know that the Earth moved around the sun?
Really?
But every school child knows that.
Well, now I know it, too. And I shall promptly proceed to forget it.
But why?
Yes, why? Why should I remember it?
Well, because it's a natural phenomenon.
Well, is it important? Does it affect us? If you told me the Earth went round the moon, would it make any possible difference to our way of life?
Well, to put it that way, no.
Then it's useless information, and I shall do my best to forget it. I advise you to do the same.
At times, I thought the man was joking and simply having a bit of fun at my expense. But I soon learned that he was in dead earnest. I also, unknown to him, made a brief classification of the man's knowledge. Literature? Nothing. Philosophy? Nothing. Astronomy? Nothing. Politics? Disinterested. Botany? He knew everything there was to know about poisons and absolutely nothing about practical gardening. Chemistry profound. Sensational literature? Without question, Sherlock Holmes knew the details of every horror perpetrated in the last 100 years.
I believe we have a visitor.
Really? Who's coming here?
I believe so. I would also say he's a retired sergeant of Marines.
Oh, you know the man?
I've never clapped eyes on him before in my life.
Well, in that case, that's one of the wildest statements I ever heard. How can you possibly guess he's a retired sergeant of Marines? You've never seen him.
A guess, my dear Watson. A calculated deduction.
Yes, he is coming up here. Do you mind if I ask you, Mr. Bersham?
Oh, by all means. Now, where did I put my violin case?
Hmm? Oh, it's over here. There you are.
Ah, my old friend.
Come in.
Excuse me, gentlemen. I have a message here from Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Excuse me.
Sir?
Do you mind telling me your occupation?
Not at all, sir. I'm a civil servant employed by the police department.
Thank you. I just wondered.
Not at all, sir.
How long have you been with the police department?
Just a year, sir. Before that, I was a sergeant in the Marines. Good day, gentlemen.
How did you know?
An interesting letter, Watson. A very interesting letter. Perhaps you'd like to come with me.
Where?
To catch a murderer, of course.
Of course. How did you know that that man was an ex-sergeant of Marines?
Who?
A messenger from the police.
Oh, yes, the retired sergeant of Marines.
That's what I said.
Well, there's nothing mysterious about such observations, my dear Watson, but unfortunately, when explained, they lose their romantic order of mystery. My decision was based on observation and logical deduction. The man had a large anchor tattooed on the back of his hand. This was visible from our window.
I admit I didn't notice it at the time, but since you mention it, I think there was an anchor.
Oh, there was indeed. He also wore regulation sideburns and had a slight nautical roll. Thus, I judged him a Marine. Oh, guess, I grant you, but only a refinement of guesses one makes every day. Don't be so disgruntled, Watson. Test your own powers of observation. We are entering the perfect situation.
Oh, what are we entering?
A house that holds a murdered man. Is Inspector Lestrade inside?
Yes, sir. May I have your name, please?
Yes, Sherlock Holmes. This is Dr. Watson.
Oh, that's quite all right, sir. Inspector Lestrade gave instructions to admit you.
Oh, good. Oh, by the way, has the body been removed?
No, sir, but the medical examiner's just gone.
Oh, thank you. Let's hope they haven't moved things about too much. The police forces of the world seem to have an organized science of messing things about.
Oh, I wouldn't say that, Holmes.
Now then, move along there, everybody. Move along. There's nothing to see today.
I don't know. I swear I don't know. I tried to help him. Don't you believe me? I had to do what I could. It was instinctive.
Instinctive for a woman like you to commit murder.
That's not true. You know it's not true. I know you hate me, but you can't believe I'd do a thing like this.
Yes, I can, and I do. She's a murderess. You know it as well as I. She murdered your brother.
It's a lie.
Yes, it's a lie. The entire story's a lie. The relationship you had with my son was a lie. My son's been murdered. This girl's a murderess. Why she did it, what her motive was, I don't know. They were engaged without my blessing. I can only be grateful that she gains nothing by her crime. Your duty now is to convict her.
Just a a moment, please. Notice the angle of incision, Watson.
Yes.
Well, the force of the blow and the general penetration of the upper region of the chest. How long would you estimate before loss of consciousness?
Well, it's difficult to say.
30 seconds. Minutes?
Oh, between the two.
I see. And death?
Shortly thereafter.
2 minutes? 3?
3 or 4, I'd say.
Thank you, Watson. All right, take him out. Ah, forgive the interruption. I would prefer to have been invited before the body had been moved.
I thought you'd be interested, Holmes.
Oh, thank you, Lestrade. Well, may I introduce my friend, Dr. Watson, Inspector Lestrade of Scotland Yard?
How do you do? How do you know?
So you're completely stuck, eh, Lestrade?
What do you mean?
Well, you thought I'd be interested. Why don't you admit it? You're in a jam. Magnificent cabinet work, don't you think?
What you say isn't exactly true, Holmes. I've done you a favor. This is an interesting case. Of course, there are 1 or 2 unexplained details, but I don't believe it'll be long before we're
What's
clear.
your principal problem?
There's no motive.
I found this girl with a knife in her hand. My brother lying dead on the floor.
I found Peter on the floor. I tried to help him
By stabbing him?
by removing the knife. Anybody would have done the same thing. I love him.
My dear young lady, there's no cause for you to alarm yourself. No one's accusing you of, of what happened. This would be a clear-cut case if only she had a reason for murdering. There happened to be a policeman outside the house during the murder, and he said that no one came in except her.
Well, what about the others? Who benefits by her death?
Well, no one. The estate was left in such a way that if he died before he married, everything went to charity.
My dear Inspector Lestrade, he didn't die before he married. This young lady and the man whose body was carried out of here have been married for at least a week.
In the event of his death, I imagine everything passes to her.
And now we return to the case of the Cunningham heritage. How did you know they were married?
Weren't you?
Yes, a week ago.
Then you do benefit by my brother's death. You're his heir.
I don't know if I am or not. I only know I didn't kill him. I swear I didn't.
Where were you married?
We went down to Brighton last weekend.
Well, why didn't Peter say anything about it?
I don't know. He asked me not to say anything, so of course I didn't.
I'm afraid, young lady, I'll have to ask you to accompany me to headquarters.
Stand.
Excuse me, Inspector, I think I should tell my mother.
Oh, yes, of course.
Tell me, Holmes, how did you know they were married?
Well, the man's hands had the remains of a sunburn and the fading marks of a narrow ring, but not as yet that indentation of the finger a ring generally leaves. A weekend in the sun at Brighton explains the whole thing perfectly.
I didn't notice these things.
Yes, I know. The young lady's hands were also sunburned, and to the same degree.
Then the case is solved.
Yes, it would appear so, wouldn't it?
What are you looking for? How do you see that? What?
Here, use this.
Why, that's only the cut in the carpet.
Yes, but it's a fresh one.
Yes, but what does it mean?
That's a good question.
You'll stop looking for clues now, Holmes.
Ah, you solved the case then?
Completely.
Oh, splendid.
Seems this girl had a record. 9 months in the woman's prison in Holloway, from the 21st of February, 1892, to the 21st of November, 1892. She was employed as a governess and convicted for stealing £300 from her employer.
It's quite true. I knew you'd find out sometime. I made a mistake 5 years ago, but I paid for it. But Peter knew all about it before we were married. I never tried to hide it from him.
You didn't know what else you had in mind.
I had nothing else in mind except that I loved him.
I'm afraid I must ask you to go with the office on this. Rather, madam. Well, that's how I like my cases. Fast and simple.
Oh, indeed. You must tell me some more about it.
Well, there's nothing to tell, really. Her story was that Peter asked her to call here at 10 sharp. She arrived, found the door open for her,
came in here and found him writhing on the floor with a knife on his chest. She screamed, pulled it out, and just then Brother Ralph walked in. He'd have died without saying another word. So she stabbed him for the inheritance and was caught in the act. Simple.
Well, falling off a log. Couldn't be simpler, could it, Watson? I still think it's a tragedy.
Yes, but in my job, Dr. Watson, we run up against it all the time. Yeah?
No, thank you. Well, I suppose you've had some amazing adventures.
Yes, but one learns to have a real philosophy of life and get a good perspective.
Yes, I suppose. But just the same, I think it's a pity.
Just another case of a clever girl being too clever.
The clever girl who intended to murder her husband, he certainly chose the most stupid possible way to commit the crime.
What was that?
Well, what's this?
Checkbook.
Oh, amazing deduction, Lestrade. Look.
So Peter Cunningham drew a check for £1,000.
6 weeks ago, and 5 weeks ago, and 4, and 3, and 2, and that's all.
Well?
They're drawn to cash.
Well, I don't get your point. He was a very rich man.
Well, it's a great deal of cash.
It was his own money. I suppose he could do what he liked with it.
You may have hit the proverbial nail, Lestrade.
Now, look here, Holmes. You're trying to start something that just doesn't exist.
Oh, do you think so?
I have a great deal of respect for your opinion, Holmes. But your trouble is that you can't leave things alone. If there isn't a mystery, you have to make one, or you're not happy.
You're right, I'm not happy. There are marks on the carpet indicating a struggle. The man whose body was carried out of here was over 6 feet in height. If he had struggled with the girl who had left here, I don't think he'd have lost.
She surprised him.
Oh, but he was expecting her.
That's her story. I'd say she sneaked up on him.
What, had stabbed him in the chest? How do you sneak up on someone and stab him in the chest, Lestrade?
Now, look here, Holmes. You're trying to start something, and I just won't stand for it. That girl's a jailbird, and she's guilty, and she's going to hang, and that's the end of the case.
I see Inspector Lestrade is up to his usual mental gymnastics, trying to hammer square pegs into round holes.
Well, Lord, it's been a great pleasure meeting you, Inspector.
I warn you to keep away from that man, Holmes, or you'll be insane in less than a week.
What time is it? Oh, 10:30. Perhaps you'd like to take a little stroll with me.
Why?
I'd like to investigate this afternoon's affair a bit further.
Oh, yes. I'd like that. I thought you'd forgotten about it.
Not at all. I've been thinking about it all evening. Shall we go? Then we must exchange our thoughts en route.
Where are we going?
To the Cunningham house.
I didn't know you'd made an appointment there.
I didn't.
Oh, well, who do you expect to see?
No one, I hope.
Well, I'm terribly sorry, Holmes, but I'm afraid I don't understand what you mean when you say you want to go to the Cunningham house and you don't. You can't do that.
What?
Well, you can't break into the house.
Why not?
It's against the law, that's why not. Why, if we're caught...
That's it.
What is?
If we're caught.
But that makes no difference. Makes no difference at all. The thing is, if we're caught, it's against the law. Quickly now. But look, Holmes, we can't... Come on.
Good evening, Inspector.
Good evening, Sergeant. Everything all right?
Yes, sir.
I just thought Sherlock Holmes might have dropped by.
Where'd you get the key?
The key is a burglar's tool. A burglar's tool? Is the street clear? Yeah.
How do you know he's out? Because I had a spy watching the house. Go through that cabinet. What am I looking for? Oh, papers, bank statements, anything to indicate passage of money from Peter Cunningham's account. Go on.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Looking for something and you don't know what in order to catch somebody and you don't know who. Quite ridiculous. Nothing over my side.
Keep looking.
Who do you think's got it? Whatever it is we're looking for.
Why did Peter Cunningham try to hide the fact of his marriage? A week or a month would the main indifference as far as his mother was concerned. She would never have consented to his new bride anyway.
He married her to prove to me that my blackmail wouldn't stop him. And then he withheld the fact in order to give me 1 week to clear out of the country before he exposed me.
The money he paid you went to buying up your promissory notes.
I was being pressed, Mr. Holmes. My brother's engagement to a jailbird gave me a perfect opportunity to extract a little money from him. In fact, if he hadn't been such a bullhead, it would have gone on for quite some time.
A jailbird, as you put it, makes the perfect murder suspect.
Perfect, Mr. Holmes. And you and Dr. Watson make perfect burglary suspects. When I report your death to the police, they can't possibly blame me for defending the sanctity of my home.
Well done, Watson.
Oh, I could have done a bit better, only it was my bad shoulder.
Quite all right, Watson. Think no more about it.
So that's our murderer?
Yes, the only possible one, of course. Only a man could have struck that blow. Peter died, as you say, within 3 or 4 minutes.
And there was a bobby outside the whole time?
Yes. Crystal clear.
Oh, completely obvious. Well, what do we do now?
What's going on here? Who fired that shot?
We will sit with the good inspector. And with the aid of our evidence, a bit of logic, and a few simple diagrams, we will endeavor to convince him that night follows day and that 1 and 1 inevitably makes 2.
How did you two get in here anyway?
Now, Inspector, calm yourself, calm yourself. Come, sit down. Now, there's a good fellow. Sit right here. Now, you see, we have a great deal to talk about.
Also present with Inspector Lestrade was Dr. John Watson and a personal friend of the inspector's, Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
This is ridiculous. It's fantastic. This isn't the way it happened at all.
This will revolutionize investigation, Watson.
This whole account is a lie.
Fingerprints, Watson. That's the coming thing.
Oh, nonsense. What are you going to do about this?
A bit more research. Here, give me your fingers on this sheet of paper.
Oh, were you going to sit there with these disgusting little smudges and let them get away with this?
Beg your pardon?
Well, I won't. They're going to hear from me. Brilliant Inspector Lestrade, indeed. Why, it took you 3 hours to convince that bonehead. I don't know. Never in mind his life by her. I said he was innocent.
Oh. I wonder if he got more than a shoulder wound in Afghanistan. Oh.
Inspector Lestrade. At once.
Your name, sir?
Dr. John Watson.
He's expecting you, sir.
In a way, I believe he is.
Well, I'll tell him you're here, sir.
sir.
Ah, Dr. Watson, I didn't expect to have the pleasure of seeing you again so soon.
Will you kindly read that?
What is it?
Read it.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
Oh. I think it's disgraceful, sir. Absolutely disgraceful. What? Yes, and I'm glad you're here so that I can tell it to you personally. Why, you and I both know that it was Sherlock Holmes who solved the Cunningham case. If it wasn't for his brilliance and his persistency, the facts would never have been brought to light. And I think it's scandalous, sir, that the newspapers should have given me all the credit and said so very little about his magnificent achievement. What do you think, Doctor?
I absolutely agree with you.
I'm glad you're on my side, Doctor.
Why, of course. I'm so glad you take it that way.
And what does Holmes think?
Oh, he doesn't mind. You know, he doesn't care who gets the credit.
Oh, dear old Holmes, such a modest fellow.
Yes,
well, look, you must give him my kind regards. Yes. And tell him that, although I know he doesn't think anything about it, I intend to get the newspapers to get the facts straight.
Well, that's very good of you, Inspector.
Oh, what's Holmes doing these days?
Well, the last time I saw him, he was playing about with a lot of ink smudges and talking about the prints that fingers make.
No. Good old Holmes, always experimenting.
Inspector Lestrade, sir.
Yes, what is it?
There's been a murder reported at the home of Lord Beryl.
What, Lord Beryl of the Foreign Office?
That's him, sir.
I'll be right with you. Excuse me, Doctor.
Yes, of course.
Lord Beryl. This is going to be a tricky situation to handle, what with the Foreign Office and who knows what else.
Yes. Can I be of any assistance?
No, I don't think so, Doctor. Oh, well, perhaps as a medical man. Mind you, I don't know what to expect, but I think you would be of invaluable assistance.
Say no more.
Here's the address, sir. Your carriage is waiting outside.
Oh, thank you very much.
Perhaps you'd care to acquaint Sherlock Holmes with what has happened.
Well, I don't know. I don't know myself what's happened.
As you said, the people involved make this case rather delicate. Perhaps a little suggestion now and then might help facilitate matters. One never knows.
Yes, you're so right. Take a message to Mr. Sherlock Holmes of 221 Baker Street.
221B?
Yes, of course, 221B Baker Street. Tell him what has happened and drive him to Lord Beryl's residence.
Yes, sir.
And tell him Dr. John Watson is already there. The flat's the first floor up.
Yes, sir. Very good, sir.
221B Baker Street.
Come in. Excuse me, Mr. Holmes.
Yes?
A message for you, sir.
Uh-huh.
There's been a murder committed at the home of Lord Beryl. Inspector Lestrade and Dr. Watson have already gone there.
Thank you. Would you care to have some tea?
Some tea, sir?
Yes.
Is that what you're making?
Oh, come along. Come and have a look at this. I'm working on an extract from a special series of pygmy poisons.
Oh, very interesting, sir.
Tea?
Well, yes, I don't mind if I do.
You take milk?
Yes, sir, please, sir, if I may.
Splendid. Sugar?
Thank you, sir.
Where did I put that sugar? Ah, that's it. This way. Here. Help yourself.
Thank you, sir.
So.
What's this you're doing here, sir?
Well, I believe that certain poisons, if taken in the correct doses, can actually have beneficial rather than fatal effects.
Now, that's very interesting, sir.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
And what's all this over here, sir?
Oh, that? Oh, those are some tropical leaves. They were sent to me by a friend of mine who hunts in that part of the country. The essence, you see, passes through this tube, down here and across the table, and is condensed in that retort there.
And what's that stuff in the bottom there?
That's lime. That acts as a catalytic agent to combine the essence of the leaves with a dark, tar-like substance, which you can see at the bottom.
Inspector Lestrade, I demand to see my wife. You've kept me waiting half an hour, and now I should like an explanation.
Of course, you're entitled to one, sir. You know that Karl Oberstein was murdered in your study.
I was informed of that, and it is a tragedy, of course. But I still don't see that is...
Lord Beryl, your wife has confessed to shooting him.
What?
That's why I couldn't allow you to see her. We were taking her statement.
What does she say?
Apart from the actual confession of murder, she refuses to say anything. You may go in now if you wish, Lord Beryl.
What's that you're putting in now, sir?
Well, it's a form of acid dye. Yeah. That's all right. Oh, where have you two been all the afternoon?
Didn't the sergeant tell you?
Oh, yes, I remember. There was a murder somewhere. Was it interesting?
No, Mr. Dwight.
Uh-huh. Well,
Straight, come and have a whiskey and soda. Whiskey and soda, Lestrade.
Oh, I don't know. I'll be off duty in 5 minutes. Yes, I think that'd be all right. Neat for me.
Well, sit down if you can find yourself a place.
There you go.
Yes, well, I think we can leave that to boil for a little while now. Now, gentlemen, what's the problem? Who was murdered?
A man named Karl Oberstein.
Oberstein? Oberstein. Oh, yes, I remember. An Austrian chap.
He was originally, but of course, for a number of years, he's been a freelance agent.
Mm-hmm. Buying and selling anything he can get his hands on, eh?
But his hands in a bit too much this time. Lady Beryl shot him. Holt Smith, 38.
Oh, really?
It was a nasty bit there. I examined the body before it was removed. Entire back of the head gone. Instantaneous death, of course.
Did you find the bullet?
No, the police sergeant will do that. It hadn't come out.
Yes, and that shot in the back of the head removes any possible chance Lady Beryl may have had of claiming self-defense. You're off duty now, aren't you, Wilkins?
Yes, sir.
You may go home.
Thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure working for you this afternoon, Mr. Holmes. I'd like to know how it all turns out.
I'll let you know.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
I feel sorry for Lord Beryl. There'll be quite a scandal when this appears in the papers.
Yes, there certainly will be.
I wonder why Lady Beryl lied to you.
What nationality was Lady Beryl originally?
Well, she was born in Austria, although she was brought up in America. She's been here in England for the past 5 years, since her marriage, you know.
It's a shame a woman like her has to remain in prison. Still, she might decide to tell you... What did you say?
I beg your pardon?
What did you say just now?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, yes, you did. You said, I wonder why Lady Beryl lied to you.
Oh, that?
Yes, what did you mean?
Nothing, except, of course, that Lady Beryl didn't shoot this chap Oberstein at all.
But she confessed to it.
Nonsense. She didn't shoot Oberstein because Oberstein wasn't shot. His head was bashed in with a blunt instrument. The revolver you claim was the murder weapon actually belonged to Oberstein. She found it lying by his side and pretended she'd done it in order to shield her husband. She's no more guilty than you two are. Now, would you hold that like a good fellow, please?
Would you please repeat that?
Of course, it's as plain as a... Here, would you mind holding that?
Oh, well, it's not plain to me.
Well, you told me that Lady Beryl confessed to shooting Oberstein, but Oberstein wasn't shot. Just because you find a man with the back of his head shattered and a gun lying by his side is no reason to assume he's been shot. Thank you. You also assumed that the bullet had lodged in Oberstein's cranium because it hadn't emerged through the front. Now, any student of elementary ballistics knows that the greatest damage to the skull is on the opposite side to which the bullet entered. The point of entry is always clean.
But the gun we found was an Austrian gun, and And Lady Bell is an Austrian.
Now, there's a logical bit of reasoning for you. Would you mind holding that, please?
Lady Beryl saw Oberstein lying there and jumped to the same conclusion we did. Well, Lady Beryl's innocent. Then somebody else is guilty.
Brilliant.
We've got to get back to the premises and re-examine them for clues. You come with us, Holmes. This nonsense can wait.
Nonsense?
Nonsense.
Nonsense? Did you say nonsense? I'll have you know, Inspector Lestrade, that if the law enforcement agencies of this country were a little, an infinitesimal amount more advanced than ancient Neolithic man, I would not have to be doing the basic research work that will in time benefit police bureaus throughout the earth.
You may have a point, Mr. Holmes.
A point? The only point is human, of which there is a paucity in the halls of our defense of the public.
So do you really think so?
I certainly do think so, and I'll tell you a few other things, Inspector. Dependent, 90% on a good memory. Details are straight. Those are the things.
Well, she's in here. And normally I'd detain her for confessing to a crime she didn't commit, but... Well, what with the Foreign Office and all that, I don't believe I will.
No, Lestrade, you don't want to hold her. Much easier to solve the crime if she's out.
Exactly.
Inspector Lestrade. We're releasing you.
So I understand.
Do you know why?
No.
We've been able to prove that you didn't commit this murder you confessed to.
I see.
We would, however, like an explanation as to why you confessed to this crime.
I prefer not to explain my actions, Inspector.
You realize, of course, that your actions are in themselves punishable and that we could detain you.
I see.
You still prefer to make no statement?
That is correct.
Very well, Lady Beryl. You'll be released as soon as the formalities can be cleared.
Thank you.
Human beings lie to gain, to cover, or to protect.
I don't know how to thank you, Mr. Holmes. Please consider me forever in your debt.
Not at all. You're in the Foreign Office, aren't you, Lord Beryl?
I am.
Had you ever met Herr Oberstein before?
I had.
Exactly when?
Last week.
For the first time?
And the last time.
I see. I believe it was his habit to offer large sums of money to men in key positions for the information they may have had in their possession.
I believe that was his habit, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you. Oh, Lord Beryl, while your wife is on her way here, I wonder if I might look at the premises of the crime.
Oh, of course, of course. It happened in the study.
With your permission.
My house is yours, sir.
Thank you.
Well, now, let me see. Karl Oberstein was lying about there. Of course, it's been removed.
Yes, of course. I see you've cleaned everything up with your usual remarkable efficiency, Lestrade.
Now, look here, Holmes. I didn't know there was going to be any mystery about this affair.
Oberstein's head was here, Holmes, and his feet were there. Thank you, Watson. Well,
was the gun lying?
To the left of the body.
Nearer the head or the feet?
Nearer the head.
Was Oberstein face up or down?
Face up. I had to turn him over to examine him.
Has there been any effort made to gain forceful entry into the house?
No, none was reported. Why?
Lord Beryl, do you use glasses when you read?
Yes, I do. These.
Are they your only pair?
Yes.
Who first discovered the body?
I believe my secretary.
Is he here?
Yes. I'll call him.
Thank you. Lestrade, where was Lord Beryl at the time you estimated the crime was committed?
He'd been at a meeting with high government officials all day.
Oh, good, good.
Why did you ask about the glasses, Holmes?
It's because Lord Beryl wears glasses when he reads. But Lady Beryl confessed to a crime she didn't commit.
What?
This is my secretary, Mr. Ross. You've met Inspector Lestrade and Dr. Watson. This gentleman is Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
How do you do?
I understand it's through your efforts that Lady Beryl was returning home.
Partially through my efforts. I wonder if I could impose upon you, Mr. Ross.
Of course, sir.
Would you mind taking these sheets of paper and roughly outline the position in which you discovered the body?
Outline it in scraps of paper.
If you would be so kind.
Why, of course.
What's the purpose of that?
How many men have you on the premises, Lestrade?
2 outside. Why?
Good, good. I wonder if you'd mind taking them into the garden behind this window and making a thorough search of the premises for a radius of 30 feet.
Looking for what?
Anything that doesn't belong in a garden.
Are you serious, Holmes?
Completely. Let's got him out of our way. Have you examined your safe, Lord Beryl?
I have, Mr. Holmes. All my papers are intact.
Excellent, excellent. Does Mr. Ross have the combination to your safe?
Yes.
There's been no question of robbery.
Of course not, Ross. One must ask these questions in an investigation.
Of course.
Good afternoon, Lady Beryl.
Edith, my darling. How are you?
I'm all right, George. Quite all right.
You must rest. This experience must have been horrible for you.
It's all right. It didn't last long enough to be too difficult.
I don't know how, but Holmes has solved the entire thing.
Has he really?
Not entirely, Lady Beryl. Not yet.
Do you expect to?
I can only hope to.
Mr. Holmes, if there's anything I can do to help.
If it would not be too much of an imposition, Lady Beryl, I would like you to retake the position in which Mr. Ross discovered you when he entered the room.
Mr. Holmes, my wife has had a harrowing experience. Please consider her nerves at this point.
You're forgetting, Lord Beryl, that your wife confessed to a crime she didn't commit. The circumstances are somewhat exceptional. But if Lady Beryl would rather not...
It's quite all right, George. Now, let me see. I was standing here.
Exactly there?
I believe so.
Mr. Ross, are you quite certain that that is the position in which Lady Beryl was standing?
Well, if you'll pardon my saying so, Lady Beryl, just for the sake of accuracy, you understand, I believe you were standing just a bit further to your left.
A little to your left, Lady Beryl. Like that?
Yes, I'd say right there.
Good. Now, Lady Beryl had a revolver in her hand.
Mr. Holmes.
That is correct.
In which hand?
My right hand.
Mr. Ross?
That's right. Lady Beryl's right hand.
Lord Beryl, do you happen to have a revolver in the house?
Yes, I have.
May I have it?
I'm not going to ask my wife to...
Yes, I am. If your wife has no objection.
Of course she has objections.
I have no objections, Mr. Holmes.
Ah, excellent. A .38 caliber. Do you notice, Watson, that it's patterned very closely after the Schmidt-Holtz, the revolver in question? Lady Beryl, is that the way you held it?
I believe so.
Mr. Ross?
Yes, it was like that.
Mr. Ross, I'd like you to think very hard. A great deal depends on what you're going to say now. As far as you can remember, that was the position of Herr Oberstein's body?
Yes.
And where in relation to Herr Oberstein's body and Lady Beryl were the broken eyeglasses?
Over there.
There?
Yes.
Watson, were there any glasses on the floor when you found the body?
Absolutely not.
You're positive?
Positive.
That's right. I didn't know what I was saying. There were no glasses on the floor at all.
There weren't any glasses on the floor when you found Lady Beryl bending over the body. But there were when you sent Herr Oberstein crashing to the ground. Before you run, Mr. Ross, look at Lady Beryl.
I don't understand this, Mr. Holmes.
Oh, very simple, really. Herr Oberstein approached you with an offer to buy Foreign Office secrets. You threw him out. Then Ross contacted him, prepared to sell him the secrets.
Oh, there's nothing missing from the safe.
Of course not. If you sold anything, you'd have been found out. Herr Oberstein came here expecting to buy. You opened the safe, showed him the papers he wanted. He put his glasses on to examine them. And then when he paid you, you smashed his skull in. He fell, breaking his glasses. His revolver dropped from his pocket. Then you replaced the papers, pocketed the money, and left.
It's a lie.
Why, you filthy...
The unfortunate point occurred when Lady Beryl discovered the body. You read the evidence incorrectly.
I thought the gun was my husband's.
Similar, but not the same.
And the glasses.
A very common variety of frame. You gathered up the pieces, except a few fragments, and threw the frames away.
Yes.
Then you lied to protect your husband.
Yes.
Nina.
Brilliant, Holmes. Absolutely brilliant.
Thank you, Watson.
My humble and very grateful thanks, Mr. Holmes.
It's been a pleasure to help so brave and noble a woman.
I'm still not quite certain what's happened, but I know we shall both be forever indebted to you.
Searched the whole garden, Holmes. Couldn't find anything but this old pair of glasses. They're broken at that.
Really?
Mr. Holmes has solved the entire case, Inspector.
He has? How?
By the little things, Lestrade. The little things that one must remember. The little things that make the difference between success and disaster. One must never forget that the difference between... Good heavens. What?
What is it, Holmes?
I left the gas on under the experiment. All Baker Street will be blown up.
Holmes, I turned it off. Stay. Hold that. Holmes.
Back already, that was the end of that Sherlock Holmes special. And if you're enjoying these shows, go to YouTube under Donald O'Malley or Don's Breakfast Cereal Show, hit like and subscribe, and you'll never miss one of my shows. So thanks again for tuning in. Hope to see you next time. Stay safe. Be kind to each other. Good night, folks.